Welcome back to the David Pakman Show. I'm Farron Cousins from Ring of Fire, sitting in for David today. David is out at a speaking engagement. So far today, we've talked a little about Donald Trump, but I think we need to move a little into the Republican Party as a whole. When you look at the Republican Party platform, when you hear a Republican running for really any office, it doesn't matter if it's a local office, a state office, or a federal office, you kind of get one theme going with the entire Republican Party, and this has been their theme since at least the 1980s, for my entire life. That theme is we got to cut regulations. To a lesser extent, we got to cut taxes, but we'll get into that more in just a minute. But regulations, those bugaboos that Republicans love to throw out there as some kind of, they're this barrier to progress in this country. Regulations are strangling small business here in the United States. It's the fault of these regulations that you can't find a job. It's because of these regulations that the economy is bad. It's the fault of these regulations for everything under the sun, according to the Republican Party. This has been their platform since I was born. And today, with a Republican-controlled Congress and Senate and White House and Supreme Court, the assault on these life-saving regulations has reached a peak, the likes of which we have not seen in this country. And here's the thing that Republicans don't want to tell you. These regulations that they're out there fighting against were all designed to protect human life. It's as simple as that. Regulations exist because at one point, it was needed to save lives. The government, the public, saw a problem. They saw that, you know what? Maybe if we had hard hats or some kind of protective head covering for construction workers, falling tools or equipment wouldn't be an instant death sentence for them. So we come up with regulations. Corporations that dump their toxic waste into our lakes and streams and our aquifers, they pump it out into the air. We have regulations against that, not because we hate corporations, not because we want to punish corporations, but because we have to do it to save lives. And these companies have proven time and time again that if we leave it up to them, they're not going to do it. When you give a corporation the opportunity to do the right thing on their own, or to let it slide and hope nobody notices, 9 times out of 10, at least, they're going to pick the path of least resistance because it doesn't cost them any money. A lot of corporations understand that you don't get away with everything forever, but they build into their cost-benefit analyses the amount of money that they would potentially pay out in a lawsuit compared with the risk, financial risk of compliance. And oftentimes, it's cheaper to poison an entire community and then pay out settlements in the form of lawsuits and medical monitoring than it is to comply with regulations. But since Donald Trump took office, since the Republican Congress and Senate were re-sworn in this past January, again, we're talking about an entire establishment in D.C. that's working overtime to give these corporations everything they want by repealing every single regulation that they can get their hands on. And again, they're doing this to save corporations money. And by saving corporations money, it puts human life, American lives, at risk. That's all there is to it. Republican policy is designed to harm American citizens to benefit American corporations. That's what this entire fight about regulations is all about. They love to point out the fact, or they call it a fact, that regulations are killing small businesses. Small businesses are closing down because we've put these burdensome regulations on them. I challenge anyone to send me definitive information of how any small business in the United States was strangled by regulations. Because small businesses don't have to worry about toxic waste. Your local pizzeria owned by the guy down the street is not dumping toxic waste into the water supply. But why are we trying to ease those regulations? That doesn't affect small businesses like Republicans tell us they do. The family that owns the little boutique on the corner, they're not spewing carbon into the atmosphere, yet we're rolling back those regulations because allegedly they hurt small businesses. These Republican talking points, when you put them to the test, when you compare them to the actual outside world, they don't hold up. Yet there are too many people in this country that buy into that and think, you know what, they're right. These regulations are bad. We don't need these protections. We don't need overtime rules. We don't need workplace safety protections. We don't need OSHA. We don't need the EPA or the FDA, but we do. Every one of those government organizations exists to save American lives. It's as simple as that. And anytime we roll back a regulation, anytime we try to cut these agencies' funding, cut their staffing, we're doing it so that corporations can pocket a little extra money a year and so that American citizens can live in constant fear that their office building is not safe, or that the construction site they work at is not safe, or that the water they are drinking is not safe.